it's finally December. Today I'm gonna do my November wrap-up, which I'm extremely proud of. I read 15 books. So the first book that I reread The Fault in Our Stars. I received the traveling book that Miranda from Books 101 is sending around. The goal of that was to just read it and mark it and then send it to someone else, which I've already done, and I will link my video in the description that I did about it. So technically I only skim read this, but it took me like 2 hours and I still cried several times, so I'm counting it as a reread. I gave this 4.5 stars, and I don't like how unrealistic Hazel and Gus are. I know it's like a biggest argument is, are they too pretentious? Are they too smart for their age? And I'm starting to lean toward the side where it seems very unrealistic that they would think like this and have those conversations. So that's the only thing I don't like. Otherwise, beautiful book. Another reread, except this time I reread this cover to cover in depth. The Evolution of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodgkin, one of my favorite series ever. So I knew I had to reread it. I remembered nothing, and I loved it just as much, if not more, the second time. I gave it 5 stars. I read this right before the next one. So The Retribution of Mara Dyer, I had to wait like 1.5 years for it. I think I'm one of the only people that didn't like it. I feel like we still have so many unanswered questions, and I just didn't like how everything was explained. Honestly, I don't think it was worth the wait, and it's making me really think, like, since she had to rewrite the whole thing, what was the first draft like? Was the first draft better? It seems like a very temporary ending. They still had problems, but they were like, whatever, we love each other, and then it ended. Ooh. I was really expecting more, so I'm sad I didn't like this as much as some other people have been. I gave it 3 stars. Focus. There we go. The next book I read was a poetry anthology, and that is E.E. Cummings. E.E. Cummings I've heard nothing but good things about, but the more I was reading, the less I understood. Half of the poems in here were beautiful. The other half I was like, what am I reading? There are some things in here that are just bizarre. Like, for example, what is this? Like I said, there were many other poems that I enjoyed. It was just very awkward reading this sometimes. I gave this 4 stars. The next book I don't have with me, it was This Shattered World by Amy Kaufman and Megan Spooner. This is the companion novel to These Broken Stars. I got an advanced copy from Disney Hyperion. It's about a planet named Avon, and there's a military side of Avon, and there's a nativist side of Avon, and it's basically a clash between these two groups of people and drama, person from this side and person from this side falling in love even though it's basically taboo. I reviewed this, and I know that's gonna be up the 1st or 2nd week of December, so I'm not gonna say too much, but I think it was a really nice continuation, and I like the world that it was on, and I thought it was really well written, really fast paced, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read is an ebook, and that is Nashville Ready to Reach by Inglaith Cooper. I got this for free on Kindle because I was bored and was like, free books. So I read this because I was bored, wanted something light and fun and new adulty. Thinking part 1 was synonymous to book 1, I read this, then realized part 1 literally means 1 book split in half. So I only got to read half a book. The other half is $3. I liked this book. It's about a girl who's a singer that's going to Nashville, and she meets these guys on the way there. I thought it was cute. I liked the writing. I would definitely continue it if the book was free, but it's not, so not about that life. But I gave this 3.5 stars just for a fun, light, happy read. Then I read a graphic novel, and that graphic novel is Anyas Ghost by Vera Broskell. The sun just went away? Okay, awkward. This graphic novel follows a girl named Anya who is pictured— Pinky, what are you doing? Who is pictured here, and one day she accidentally falls into a well, and there's a ghost down there, and long story short, this ghost starts to follow her around, helps her out with her life because no one really likes her, and she's kind of a loser, so it's just about their adventures, and then there's a really nice twist at the end, which I enjoyed. I thought it was just a really realistic graphic novel. I found I could relate to Anya. I know a ton of people could probably relate to Anya. My dad just sneezed. Bless you! Overall, I liked it. I liked the art style. It's very black and purple. Is there a companion or sequel to this? Because I would totally pick that up. I give this 4 stars. Then I took a walk down memory lane and I reread Dinosaurs Before Dark, the first book in the Magic Treehouse series. If you don't know, it's about these kids that find a treehouse that's filled with books, and if you open a book and you're like, I want to go there, it takes you there. This book, obviously, they go to see dinosaurs. This took me, I kid you not, like 10 minutes to read. It is so small. I thought they were just so cute. I highly recommend this to any children that exist anywhere. I was in love with these books as a kid. I still think it was super fun and just really cute, and I gave this 5 stars. The next book I read for school, this is Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. It's a utopia, not dystopia. I called this a dystopia in my last video, I mentioned it in, but automatically I assume dystopia means in the future, and I forget that that's not what it means, so excuse me. Utopia! It's a very sci-fi-y novel about a futuristic England where people are made in like labs and stuff, and it's just a very, very technological world. And it's about how these sciencey people who fit in their exact roles and they were made to be a certain way and they're certain castes, they find a girl who had gone missing and her son, which any people that are born are automatically misfits, so when they come back to this society, they're very estranged. And it's just kind of about that in the scientific world. I liked this book a lot, actually. My favorite quote from this book is actually printed on the back. It's something that the Savage says, and it's, "I don't want comfort, I want God, I want poetry, I want real danger, I want freedom, I want goodness, I want sin," and that's just beautiful. I gave this book 4 stars, and the only reason I did that is because it gets kind of info dumpy throughout the book. You just get loaded with descriptions of how they do different scientific stuff, and it's like, I don't care where the action at. I think this is a really nice book to read for school. I enjoyed it. The next book I read was for review, and that's Find Me, I'm Yours by Hilary Carlip. This is a new type of book where instead of it just being text, it has pictures, and it has links, and it has videos, and it's a very interactive read because it has media embedded into it. It's about a girl named Maggie who's a graphic designer in LA, and she finds a tape from a guy saying, "Hello, I am a person looking for a mate. Follow these clues and come find me." And it's just her going through this scavenger hunt for this guy while dealing with family friend drama. Overall, it was a really cool concept. I loved the plot and the action, but the writing gave me so much secondhand embarrassment because it was written like a 10-year-old's diary, like, "OMG, totes amaze." Like, these were things actually said. But I gave this 2.5 stars. Now for the fun books. I read Throne of Glass this month. I posted a picture of this on Twitter and everyone was like, yes! So I picked it up. A car totally just saw me make that face. Okay, hi. I emailed the publisher to see if I could get the new cover just by itself, but they didn't respond. Haters. Anyway, I really, really enjoyed this book. It's about an assassin who is locked up in a jail, and the prince comes and takes her out and says, "Hello, I would like for you to compete to be our kingdom's next assassin." She does that, and it's lovely. It's very action-packed. I love the characters. I can see why this is raved about. I mean, don't get me wrong, it is fantastic, and I'm definitely going to be picking up the sequels and reading those ASAP, but it's not the best book I've ever read. It's not the new Shatter. I still loved it. Like I said, I'm gonna get the sequels, and thank you everyone that recommended this to me. I don't know who I like more, Kale or Dorian. I can tell this is gonna be a really rough love triangle to have to read, so God be with me. I gave it 4.5 stars. And the next book is also a reread. That is Mockingjay by the one and only Suzanne Collins. I remembered nothing about this book, and I knew before I saw the movie I would have to reread it, and I did, and loved it. I think I'm like the only booktuber that likes Mockingjay, but gosh darn it, I love this book. The first time I read this, I gave it 4 stars, and I don't remember why, because that was like 2011, and we don't talk about back then. But I gave this 5 stars. It's just so raw, and it's, I don't think it's too fast. I don't think it's everything that everyone accuses it of being. The only thing that I would have liked more if it had a little bit more emotion, because all the time Katniss is like, I walk through the city, I watch someone die, I want to go save my sister, and I just, a little bit robotic, but it was a very good refresher for the movie, and I'm probably gonna reread it next year just when the second one comes out, even though I'm sure I won't have to. Love this book. Finag. Next book was supposed to be for my book club, but they kind of read it without me, and so I was behind, so I read it by myself. That is The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I have friends, Fergus, that have been telling me to read this for years, and I finally got it, and I finally read it. The Night Circus is about 2 magicians named Marco and Celia. They have been trained since they were young to do magic and to be able to manipulate things, and they are being put against each other in a competition. And the way that they do that is they incorporate their magic into a circus called the Night Circus, and that's where everything takes place. Hence, the Night Circus. There are two sides to this book. Either people say that it's so boring and they hated it, or people say it's the best book they've ever read. I'm somewhere in the middle of that. I feel like it was so beautiful, and I loved how magical the world was, and the circus just enticed me. I also kind of side with those people that say it's boring. It's beautiful and fast-paced, and I read it in like 4 sittings. But nothing really happened, and of course there's action and there's romance, and I love that aspect of it, but it just seemed like I didn't really understand the whole competition. I even said on Goodreads, I have no idea what made this not a 5-star book for me. I can't put my finger on it. I gave this book 3.5 stars. Then I wanted something really quick after that, and I definitely got the right book for wanting something quick and light. I read Amy and Roger's epic Detour by Morgan Matson. I recently mentioned Morgan Matson in my authors I've not read yet video and got such a hubbubaloo from people being like, best author ever. I gave this 4.75 stars. This book is about a girl named Amy. I get it? Okay. She and her family are moving all the way from California to Connecticut. So she has to take the car and go all the way across the country, but after this accident that her dad has died during, she is scared to drive. So her mother enlists her best friend's son to help and drive her across the country, named Roger, and it's about them going on their own road trip and experiencing things and getting to know one another and just kind of letting go a little bit. I think this was such a perfect summer read. I am in love with this book. I highly recommend it. The only reason I gave it 4.75 stars is because I feel like the first thing, I felt like the relationship was nothing and then everything all at once. I didn't really feel a development of it. And second, wasn't really a fan of Amy's personality sometimes. I know that she was very mentally affected by this recent accident, but sometimes I just was really annoyed with her and wanted her to get some confidence. Other than that, so cute. Such an adventure. Again, highly recommend. The next book I read is also another children's book, and that was Alice in Wonderland by Lewis Carroll. I only gave 3 stars. I thought it was cool. I thought it was nice. But on the other hand, I thought it was a little bit too whimsical. I thought it was a bit random and jumped around. I posted on Goodreads that I felt this way and someone was like, it's because he was high, and that kind of just ruined it even more. But regardless, I know people that love this and I can see why they would love it. I just don't think I was in the right mood for it at the time. I might retry to do Through the Looking Glass one day, but I got about 20 pages in and was like, something else please. And then on the last day, excuse me, my face please, thank you. On the last day of November, I finished Rooms by Lauren Oliver. This book I think you shouldn't have very much of a synopsis for. I think the inside flap gives away a little bit too much in my opinion. All you should know is that it's about after a man dies, his family and ex-wife goes to his house to sort through his things, and they find more than just belongings there, and it's told from the perspectives of both the family members and ghosts living in that house. I felt like this was a really beautifully written book, and I absolutely loved the way it was developed. Lauren Oliver is just an amazing writer all around. This is a very different book than her YA. I believe it's her first adult novel, and you can tell it's adult. It's a very mature book, to say the least. I enjoyed it. However, I felt like the plot had no real purpose. Things would happen, but it was random things, and in the end there wasn't much of a climax. It wasn't really a mystery, it wasn't really a romance, there wasn't really any interaction between the ghosts and the humans, so it was like, I wasn't sure where she was going with it, and then it ended. So I'm still kind of left like... But nevertheless, I thought it was beautiful, and I would recommend it. And review coming. If you were wondering, yes, I read all of those instead of doing my college essays. Thank you for watching this video, everyone!